All right, I'm going to start by having you introduce yourself.
Stan Byers, I lead the cybersecurity team at USAID.
Dan, so you just got off the stage here at GDDF. What were some of the highlights of your talk in the keynote?
Well, really, one of the main highlights for us right now is the digital policy that we're currently preparing was just released for public comment, and as a part of that, we've really made sure that it's about digital development and cybersecurity, and that we recognizing that these two things have to go together, and that development is digital now. Like you can't talk about development without talking about emerging technologies. But then at the same time, you can't talk about those technologies without considering how are you going to secure those technologies, and how do we build the capabilities in a lot of the countries that we work, so that when we put these new systems in place, use these new technologies for all the good that they can provide, and all the increase in public services and access and education, so many different things. We want to make sure that that's going to be possible and enabled by making it secure and sustainable.
I read that policy very closely, and I was excited to see that interconnection. We've been working with the team at USAID on digital development for many years, and cyber's always been often isolated as an island, and we should be thinking about this, but really nice to see it integrated in a thoughtful way. And really kudos to your team and the work that you're doing to say, look, we can't do digital development without putting cyber front and center as the threats to democracy and development increase by the day. What are some trends you're seeing in the cyberspace that you want people to be aware of?
Well, I think one of the things that we try to emphasize is just that the technology is moving at incredible speeds, and there's the rate of adaptation or adoption of these technologies in across the world is astounding. Unfortunately, we're not seeing the same rate of increase on cyber capabilities, and so what you end up having is a widening gap in the access to and connectivity and dependency upon new technologies, which again provide a lot of great services, but then not having necessarily the capabilities you need to really secure them. At the same time, you're seeing a proliferation of the cyber threat environment. You're seeing a proliferation of the different threats that are out there, an increased sophistication, an increased pace and scope of the attacks, an increasing use of AI and other technologies as a way to gain access and to control a lot of the data that's out there. And so, and then you have things like disinformation that are affecting political and social issues. That's also related to cyber. So all these different trends are all kind of converging all at the same time. And so it's creating a whole new dynamic in both the environments that we work, for our implementing partners, our partner countries, and for us as a country, or as an agency in the US, for what we need to be, how we're going to approach development, and then how we're going to build the capabilities that we need to provide the support for the work that we're doing.
So that's great. So your colleague Sean from the State Department, who was just in the pop-up studio, spent part of his time in our conversation talking about the importance of training governments with the latest in cyber trends, really feeling like capacity building has an enormous role to play in this effort. Is USAID also focused on that in a joint capacity? And what else beyond capacity building should we be thinking about in terms of a solution set?
Well, no, absolutely. We're working closely with state on finding it, because it depends on the context. In some places, they're better positioned than we are to do some of the work. In other places, we're better positioned, and then we find that balance of how we're going to work together. And working with partner governments is absolutely key. And we're hearing, it's not like we have to go out there and beg governments to build their capacity. We have a lot of requests coming in.
Well, they want this help.
Absolutely, they know that this is critical, but at the same time, they want their independence. They want to be able to make their choices, but they appreciate having access to the U.S. markets and companies and the U.S. approach, because there's a lot of respect for how we're doing it. And there's this rights-based approach that Sean talked about and that we talk about in our policy is absolutely critical. And I think it's actually a differentiation for what we're doing. And I think it really adds a lot of value to what we're doing. But then in addition to government, as you were asking, I think the other part that we're really focused on is the workforce capacity development. And so we want to help build the cyber ecosystems in these countries, the markets for cybersecurity. And so that
huge opportunity there, I feel like, right?
Huge. I mean, I think like about 2 years ago, McKinsey did a big report saying, what's the untapped global market in cybersecurity? And the number they came up with was $2 trillion. Okay. And that, I mean, right now, most of the cybersecurity resources and so forth, for many good reasons, are directed towards higher income countries. But there's a fast growing market and a lot of opportunities in lower income and middle income countries that are currently untapped and unleveraged. And so we want to help work with the private sector to access that, to create opportunities for U.S. and allied companies and firms to go out there, both technology and cyber firms, and to get these rights-based, secure, accessible models out there, and then work with the governments so that they can put in place the capacities they need, the regulations they need, the strategies they need to then take ownership and really handle all that, and then continue to adapt as all this continues to evolve.
Sounds like really important work, Stan. I'm so glad that you're doing it and excited to have you here at GDDF sharing your story, sharing that journey. And we wish you best of luck in the rest of the conference. And thanks again for joining us.